Some stories, they just don't have a final chapter. They're puzzles with missing pieces, events that seem to defy all logic, and they leave behind questions that just echo through history, with no answer. These are the mysteries that really stick with us, not because we know what happened, but because we have absolutely no idea.
And that's the big question, isn't it? It challenges our deep-seated need for closure. We're about to dive into what happens when the trail goes completely cold, when the evidence just creates more questions than answers, and when the truth remains just out of reach. Our journey tonight starts not with a crime, but with a puzzle. The first piece of any unsolvable mystery is a clue that no one can possibly understand.
It all begins with a code that to this day, no one on Earth can read, a language that might not even be a language at all.
Then it continues with a body with no name, no clear cause of death, but holding one final cryptic message.
And it all comes to a head on a desolate island, where three men just vanished into thin air, leaving behind nothing but an eerie silence and a storm that never happened.
So, our first mystery is an intellectual one. It's a puzzle locked away not in some high-tech vault, but on the fragile pages of an old book, the Voynich manuscript.
For centuries, this manuscript has stumped literally everyone who's tried to understand it. It is filled with these bizarre illustrations of plants that don't exist, strange astronomical charts, and its text has resisted every single attempt at translation. There's a reason they call it the white whale of the code-breaking world.
Now, of course, the easiest explanation is that it's just some elaborate, centuries-old hoax. But what's so fascinating is how the physical evidence seems to push back against that. The parchment itself, it's been carbon dated to the 1400s. And when you analyze the text, it shows all the patterns and structures of a real, natural language. The current thinking is that this isn't a secret code meant to hide something, but maybe a straightforward book about nature, written in a language that has simply been lost to time.
So if it's not hiding a secret, maybe it's hiding an entire world we'll never get to know. And a lost language is one thing, but that pales in comparison to a lost life. So what happens when the mystery isn't ink on a page, but the people themselves?
Let's move to a place where the clues are real, you can touch them, but the people, they're just gone. This is where mystery takes on a chilling human dimension.
Okay, picture this. December 1900. A relief ship arrives at the Flannan Isles lighthouse, and they find it utterly abandoned. The scene inside was just baffling. Beds unmade, a meal left uneaten, and the door was locked from the inside. One of the three keepers had left his foul weather gear behind, which is basically a death sentence in the North Atlantic winter. But the strangest clue of all, the logbook. It described a terrifying storm, but weather reports for that area showed clear skies. A phantom storm, a locked door, and three men gone forever. So what really happened on that island? 55 years later, halfway across the world in the South Pacific, another vessel would be found just adrift. On board, there was nothing but silence. The number of souls lost? 25.
The MV Joyita was found over a month after it disappeared. It was damaged, sure, but its design made it practically unsinkable. And yet all 25 people aboard were just gone. There were no signs of piracy, no struggle. The cargo was untouched. The only truly bizarre clue was a doctor's bag on the deck, containing used, bloody bandages. Was there some kind of desperate medical emergency that forced everyone overboard? Or do those bloody bandages tell a much, much more violent story?
Disappearing without a trace is terrifying. But, sometimes what's left behind is even more disturbing. We now have to turn from the question of where did they go to the much darker question, what happened to them? And these two cases perfectly illustrate the opposite ends of the spectrum of unsolved crime. On one hand, you have the Hinterkaifeck murders in Germany, a brutal, almost intimate slaughter of 6 people on their isolated farm. The killer apparently lived there for days afterwards, feeding the livestock. Before the attack, the family had been reporting phantom footsteps in the attic. Then, on the other hand, you have the Somerton Man in Australia. A man found dead on a public beach, perfectly dressed, with no signs of violence. His cause of death is still unknown. The only clue was a tiny scrap of paper found in his pocket that read, "Tamam shud," which is Persian for "it is finished."
It's a question that really gets to the heart of what truly terrifies us, right? Is it the human monster that we can almost kind of understand, or is it the chilling randomness of a fate that we can't explain at all? Remember that phantom storm from the Flannan logbook? That localized event that no one else saw? What happens when a storm like that isn't made of wind and rain, but is psychological, and it infects an entire city?
Back in 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, a very different kind of mystery unfolded. This didn't involve a single victim or a small group. It involved hundreds of people, all caught in the grip of some unseen, unstoppable force.
It started with just one woman, Frau Trophia. She walked into the street and just started to dance, and couldn't stop. Within a week, dozens had joined her. By August, there were 400 people dancing uncontrollably in the streets. And this wasn't some kind of party. People were dying, reportedly up to 15 a day, from sheer exhaustion, strokes, and heart attacks. The city authorities had no idea what to do.
So what could cause something so bizarre? Well, there are two main theories. One is mass psychogenic illness, what we used to call mass hysteria. The people of Strasbourg were under immense stress from famine and disease, and this could have just been a bizarre psychological breaking point. The other theory? Poison. A fungus called ergot, which grows on rye, can cause violent spasms and hallucinations. We still don't know for sure which it was.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? The dancing spread from person to person, seemingly just by sight alone. Was the phenomenon itself a kind of social virus, an idea that took root in people's minds and then just manifested physically? The unreadable book, the vanishing keepers, the silent victims, the dancing plague. They're all so different, yet they all share one powerful binding thread that pulls us in.
You know, maybe we're drawn to these stories not in spite of their missing endings, but because of them. Each one is like a map that leads us to the very edge of human knowledge, to that line where fact just dissolves into speculation.
They challenge us to ask not just what happened, but what is even possible. These stories hold their power because they remain unfinished, leaving that final chapter for us to write in our own imagination. So, is there a hidden thread that connects them all, or are they just random, terrifying echoes in the static of history? Let us know what you believe down in the comments.